There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
Ooh, what's up and welcome into episode number 43 of the Program Guys podcast. My name is Mesa Prince, joined with you as always by Mark Hall, Ryan Tyson, Patrick Hertzberger, no Matt Gann this week. Today is Wednesday. What'd you say?
Who?
We're already starting.
Today is Wednesday, November 2nd. Jeez, rough start. November 2nd. Be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Trying to hit 1,200 subs by the end of the week. Help us get there, my people. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Program Guys with a Z, Instagram Program Guys with a Z. However you get your podcast out, you can find us. Program Guys Podcast. Our Facebook page as well, Program Guys Podcast. We have a new sponsor alert. No Matt Gann, new sponsor alert. But Patrick Hertzberger, tell me about the new sponsor.
Yeah, guys, super excited for this one. Hype Shoes. You guys can click the link, I think in the bottom top right or top left to get a Hype Shoes website. Yeah, top right. They are sliders. So they're university sliders. They got schools, of course, Oklahoma, the ones you're seeing right now, but they have LSU, Baylor, Oklahoma State, A&M, Alabama, other schools that don't matter. But if you're watching and you're from one of those schools, go ahead and click the link and get those shoes.
Awesome.
We just for transparency's sake, we got pairs of the slides and I've worn them a ton. They were all sent to my house, so I've worn them a ton.
We don't have ours yet.
Yeah, right. Not yet. I've got them. I've been wearing theirs actually. They're
trying out different kinds.
Super duper comfy. Click the link and check out the design. It uses the wagon in the OU ones, and I just think the wagon is one of our best logo things. So
Agreed.
Big fan. Also on the sole of the shoe is the OU logo. So everywhere you step, you're leaving a mark.
Nah.
Yep.
Wow.
Bang.
Wow.
Hype Shoes, hit them up.
Wow.
Hype
What an ending to that.
That's right. Shout out to our new sponsor. Appreciate it as always. Boys, let's talk some OU football. All right. Sooners 5-3. Coming off a win against Iowa State. We're going to welcome in the Baylor Bears to Norman on Saturday. But first off, let's go ahead and get
all right, Ryan.
Let's get to some news. Javonte Barnes is going to be a game time decision. Brent Venables said today, still dealing with that hamstring issue. It's just a touchy muscle. You know, you don't really know what to expect with hamstrings. So game time decision. We'll see what happens. And then Venables gave a really in-depth talk about the recruiting process. He was asked by Bob Przybylo in the press conference on Tuesday about how he handles losing guys in the recruiting process or where his headspace was at. He gave, I think it was a 7-minute answer, almost 1,000 words. Really insightful, just kind of cool to see behind the curtain and Brent's process. Anybody else see that clip, take anything from that or anything on the Javonte Barnes news?
Yeah, I mean, so one of my biggest thing was he just didn't really seem to be fazed by any kind of decommits. You know, we had a decommit last week, and he just wasn't fazed by it. He was like, this is part of the deal. This is like, they are not here yet. And this is just part of the game that we play, and we're not gonna stop recruiting because of this, because something like this happens. So, you and all of us on this pod had a lengthy discussion about that last week and like how he would respond to all of this and how he's going to respond moving forward. And I genuinely thought that was a good response. He's just not bothered by it, and he's going to continue to do what he needs to do. So.
I'm boned for Javonte Barnes, man. I mean, he's awesome. He's gotten better and better, got more and more carries, been super explosive for us, and it sucks that he's been hurt the last 2 games now with a hammy issue.
I got to touch on both things. Sorry, guys. If Eric Gray is actually a little banged up also, then the Javonte Barnes injury becomes more of a concern. Maybe we see Tawi Walker. Maybe we get a look at Gavin Sawchuk. There's a couple more guys that we just haven't gotten any run, but it's a little bit concerning. Brent Venables has a great approach towards the decommits, but at the same time, I know that they were recruiting based off of David Hicks's sort of commitment to OU, right?
Yep.
Him being such a vocal part of the party at the Palace is something I've hit on before, and it's something that really stuck out to coaches and players that were at that event. And it's a real shot in the gut to lose someone like that. But Coach Venables said everything he has to say, right?
Yeah.
He said everything exactly perfectly. He can't afford to sit back and, dwell on something like that, like we can 4 weeks later. He has to move forward, and that's the approach you want.
Yeah. He also mentioned in the thing, in his little, I don't want to call it a rant, but I guess monologue. In his monologue, he mentioned that other schools and other teams are already focused on 2024, 2025, 2026 classes. And he's like, I encourage our staff, our guys, to look for those guys who are still in the 2023 class. So we don't have to go to the transfer portal to fill holes that we need. Look for these guys who have been overlooked, who may be diamonds in the rough. He cited Mark Clayton as a guy who was overlooked his senior year of high school and was added to the Oklahoma program. Not a bad player in Mark Clayton. So just guys like that, I think it was an interesting point for him to make, to stay focused on 2023, even though we're a month and a half away from that class officially signing and you feel like you're kind of already set. Well, you're really not. The work continues. And I just thought that was interesting.
I think the Mark Clayton one is a tough comparison for me because it was such a different recruiting landscape. There's so much information out now. There's so much more recruiting information out there. But again, I think, you sort of have to limit your search to local guys in this scenario where you're searching for diamonds in the rough. But there's a couple guys, Eric McCarty's one of them, where just because you got in early doesn't make it not a diamond in the rough. Yeah. Right. And maybe you find a late bloomer like that.
Yeah. Let's move on to some OU Baylor talk. All right. Sound good? Game coming up 11 a.m. on Saturday in Norman. 11 a.m. right? I think it's right. Yeah.
No,
2:12.
2 on ESPN Plus.
That's why.
Exclusively on
That's why.
Supervision.
Yes, that's why, because it's on ESPN Plus.
It's so bad.
Okay.
Pay Daddy Josie his $5 a month, boys.
Yeah, that's right. So Baylor Bears coming to town. They're 5-3, 3-2 in conference play. The Baylor Bears are coming off 2 wins in a row. They beat Kansas and then beat Texas Tech. They lost to Oklahoma State, lost to West Virginia. BYU, their other loss on the season. So let's start with the OU offense against the Baylor defense. So Baylor, to me, is a scary team. And they're the number 2 ranked defense in the Big 12 behind Iowa State. OU just saw that defense last week, played fairly well against that defense. I think Baylor has more athletes, and I'm just more scared of Baylor defense than I was of Iowa State's. I think it's going to be you're going to have to rely so much on Dylan Gabriel and these receivers this game because of what we talked about with all the running back issues and the running backs being banged up. I just feel as though you're going to have to lean so heavily on those receivers and on Dylan Gabriel. I just hate feeling like this is a one-dimensional offense because we know how well it works when it's two-dimensional. Yep. Do I make sense? I feel like I'm rambling.
You make a
You're
ton
not
of
rambling.
Sense. Okay. Part of my, like, we just haven't seen some of these other guys get run in real football games. So I'm optimistic that the offense can be built such that there are holes, even if Charlie Walker's the one running through them, not just for Eric Gray, but Eric has also looked really good finding space. So it's a tough place to be in. Because Baylor's going to be stout up front. That's Dave Aranda. He's as good a defensive coordinator in the country outside of Brent Venables. So it's tough.
Pat?
I think if our offense plays as good as they played last week and the receivers don't drop the balls like they were doing last week, we're going to be fine. I see us building off of last week. Our offensive line played well. I expect them to play well again. And I see this as a win for us.
Ryan, do you feel like the offensive line is like really starting to gel right now. I feel like they've looked pretty good the past couple of weeks. Like after all the flack that they got, deservedly so, during that 3-game stretch, the last 2 weeks, I feel like they've really started to figure it out. And I don't know if that's playing together that amount of time or maybe the right combination of guys or gelling. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the last 2 weeks they're probably one of the most improved spots that we got right now, I think, throughout our entire team, both defense and offense. Dylan has looked better the past 2 weeks than we've seen him this year because the offensive line has looked better these last 2 weeks than we've seen them this year. I feel like this team is starting to gel together a little bit more. We talked about this last week. On the offensive side, we were 3-4 drop passes away from scoring 40 points on the number 1 defense in the Big 12 at their home last week. I mean, that's impressive. That's super impressive. And I have a lot of confidence in this offense going into this game at home. I will say the thing about Baylor, which they're going to give me all the crap in the world. My
I think we should
caveat. You know them better than anyone. So that's why we're glad to have you.
Out of the 8 games that Baylor has played, I've watched 6 of their games.
Okay.
How many of them have you watched while wearing green?
Ooh, good question.
I'm not going to answer that question live on air.
Just so everyone knows, Ryan is a huge Baylor fan. He's almost as big of a Baylor fan.
I'm not a huge Baylor fan. My girlfriend went.
Don't you have like
Baylor,
a painting of a bear or something in your house?
No, I don't. Anyway, here we go. So yeah, I do feel like I probably know them as they're the second team that I've watched the most of, right? I've watched 8 games of OU. I've watched 6 of Baylor, basically. And I've watched the last 5 of Baylor.
You've watched 5 more Baylor games than me. So
yeah. So, their defense is not near as good as their defense was last year. It's that is a easy fact. I mean,
they lost guys.
West Virginia scored 43 points on them, right? And that's at Morgantown, night game, kind of weird situation going there. But Iowa State, who we just held to 14, they scored 24 on them. Texas Tech, who actually has one of the best offenses in the Big 12, only scored 17 last week at Tech against them, which is kind of a crazy amount. But I watched that game, and Tech just played atrociously bad. Not even just because Baylor was really good, which they did look good, but they just played atrociously bad. They had 3 different quarterbacks who were playing. Each one of them threw an interception. There was 5 total interceptions, all of that kind of stuff. So, I am interested to see, how many turnovers our offense has. Because I think going back to what Gann said last week, and I think we could probably say this every single week. Who is Gann? Who is that person?
Yeah.
This turnover battle is going to be extremely important. I watched that Baylor Tech game last week, and neither of those teams looked very good for a while. And then all of a sudden, Baylor started grabbing interceptions, and then that game completely flipped.
Baylor
we cannot attribute, hey, turnovers are important to Matt Gann. That is not an original thought.
Baylor,
I know.
Baylor, by the way, to Ryan's point, 3rd in the conference in interceptions. So they have in 8 games played, they have 9.
Well, but they got 5 last week.
Regardless, they got them.
They did. So they did. But if you guys watched that game, you would have seen some of those throws. And let me tell you, I could have picked those balls.
17 sacks in 8 games as well. That's 4th in the conference as well.
They're solid.
They're solid. But I'll take your word for it that they aren't as good as they were last year. I watched them against Kansas and wasn't super impressed. Kansas went out there with Bean the week after playing OU, and Kansas was able to move the ball. They really were.
Yeah, especially in the second half.
Yeah, so yeah. I'd be curious to see what version of that Baylor defense we get on Saturday. Mark, were you going to say something?
Yeah, on the OU side of things, I think expect Marvin Mims to get heavily featured. I think last week was, probably the worst game he's ever had in an OU jersey, and they're going to work to make him feel good about himself and get him involved. Last year's Texans second round pick, Jalen Petrie, was a safety out of Baylor who was dynamic, really good player. So hopefully some of the deficiencies in the Baylor defense this year can be tied to that, and Marvin Mims can break the top off a couple times. Or Jaleel Farouk. I love it.
In case you were wondering, Baylor number 1 in the conference as well in rushing defense, allowing 113 yards a game. That's better than Iowa State by a yard a game.
Well, that's only after us.
That's only after us.
Because last week Gann said that they were number 1.
Yeah, they were.
Also, in case you're wondering, Baylor, I'm looking at it now, is number 1 in student virginity rate. I don't know.
You're gonna have to cut that out, Mason.
Maybe that's a poll. I can't. Do they survey that?
Yeah, they do. They do. They did it during the BYU game. I knew they had pollsters out.
Man, I bet that was a competition.
It was.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, we're all good.
The new Big 12.
Yeah, the new Big 12.
Virgins.
So final thoughts on the OU offense against the Baylor defense. I think you're really going to have to rely on Dillon Gabriel to win this game for you. He only has 1 interception on the year. I think he's going to have to be as accurate as he was last week. I thought he played arguably his best game last week with his most mundane stats. So I think it's going to be, I think I just cut out probably the way you guys
barely
jumped at me.
A little bit.
It's okay. All right. So Dillon Gabriel leading the offense. I agree with Mark. Marvin Mims is got to be that dude. So,
yeah, and I would like us to see. I would like us to see. Sorry, I completely lost my train of thought. This is so unprofessional of me. I would like to see the run the ball. Which I know, like we just said, right now they're the number 1 Big 12 defense, right? When it comes to rushing yards, but I think that's what made us so successful against Iowa State last week. And it's what broke down their defense and really like us being able to work both sides. Gabriel playing well and throwing the ball accurately. That's one thing. And then us actually being able to run the ball and keep them on their toes. I think that's going to be very important. This Baylor defense has a very good line, and we have to be able to shake them up, or else they are going to get to Gabriel. They are going to get to him if we are not able to change up our like the schemes and things like that.
Pat, Mark, anything before we move on?
Yeah, I think the wide receivers are going to come back with a good game. So Dillon's accuracy is the key to this game, like you guys have been saying.
Nothing from me.
Awesome. Let's
for the
move
first
on.
time.
Hey, how about that? Let's move on to the OU defense against that Baylor offense. Baylor's offense, 3rd in the conference in total yards per game, 456 yard average. We're looking at rushing yards. They have 201. And then you want to look at their passing yards as well. They're about 254 yards a game. So to me, this all hinges on making them one-dimensional. I think OU's done a solid job the past 2 games of playing the run very well, and making Baylor beat you through the air, I think is going to be the key to this. You got to make them one-dimensional. Don't let them run the ball. I had people come at me on Twitter that I was being mean to Danny Stutzman because he doesn't know how to cover people. And if you're watching this podcast right now or listening, and you watched that game last week and you think Danny Stutzman didn't look lost, I don't know what to tell you. That's not saying he can't improve and he can't get better, but he didn't know what he was doing last week, and he hasn't looked like he's known what he's doing in coverage for a couple weeks now. So he needs to step up in the run game. Looking forward to seeing what this defense is going to improve upon. They seem more confident. They seem better. We'll see how much Billy Bowman plays. I still don't know. I don't know if Brent said anything about it today.
I didn't hear anything specifically about Bowman.
I guess news is probably good news.
I just heard about Barnes.
I didn't see anything about Billy's status for this coming week, but I did see something about him playing more this past week than they were expecting.
Okay.
And
that's good news.
Grading out pretty well under their however they grade him out. I don't know if that was Venables or Ted Roof, but one of the two, and I think that has to be a good sign for next week.
Yeah.
For Billy.
A lot of positive words from Ted Roof and from Brent about Deshaun White this week.
Oh my God.
Yes.
They were very, very happy with Deshaun White, as were we. I mean, Deshaun White had a fantastic game. So hopefully they can continue to build off that. Pat, what do you got?
Yeah, things are clicking for Deshaun White for sure. Mason, just to reiterate what you said, I agree. Like the two-dimensional offense, making it one-dimensional. They've been good when they've had to be higher on rushing, and they've been good when they've had to be have a better passing game. So they are dynamic in that sense. So looking forward to seeing how our defense does against them, staying organized, bringing the pressure as much as possible.
Ryan, Mark.
Yeah. So again, having seen this offense quite a bit this week or this year, I am concerned about their offense. I think their offense is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I think Blake Shapen is their quarterback. He's pretty solid. He can throw the ball well. He is pretty good under pressure. And he's able to run when he needs to, which has always been a problem for us. So
we don't get a break with that stuff, man.
Those 3rd and 8s that he can just slide into the pocket and head forward and get that first down. He does that all the time. So we have to be ready for that. And their running back, Richard Reese, has been great the last few weeks. And again, that kind of goes back there. Their offensive line has been pretty solid. Giving Shapen time to be able to throw the ball and giving those holes for Reese to run through them. So I personally think, and I know we're going to get to predictions after this, I'm expecting this to be a high scoring game. I think both these offenses are better than the defenses that are going against them. And I'm expecting a pretty high scoring, lots of yards game. Maybe not like Kansas level, but like up there.
Mark?
Yeah, I was also going to hit on Richard Reese. He's a freshman, and he leads the Big 12 in rushing touchdowns. He is averaging 5.2 yards a carry. That's a pretty freaking good freshman running back. So just when you think, hey, Tristan Ebner's gone, and hey, Abram Smith is gone, they've got another guy in the stable. The other one is, like Ryan said, Blake Shapen. They let what's-his-face that killed us just transfer. Because they were so confident in Blake Shapen. So I think, Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong. I know you're the Baylor guy.
Oh my God.
He started the year kind of slow, right? And he's come on since then.
Yeah, I mean they lost their second game against BYU. And was it that? It wasn't that game. One of the games he got hurt. I'm trying to remember which one. I don't remember which one.
Either way.
He's looked good the past couple weeks. He looked really good last week against Tech.
And you're gonna have to get pressure on a guy like that. Mm-hmm. Make him think he needs to run when he can't run. Make him try to throw the ball when he's not really able to throw the ball. Those are the kind of things you have to do. And I think we can do it. We looked pretty darn good at doing stuff like that at times last week. So
this quarterback is better, though. This quarterback is definitely better.
It's hard. I mean, dude, it's hard to be worse.
I know, but this offense, like, we talked a lot about Iowa State's offense not like being, the greatest thing on earth. This offense is good, and we have to be ready for that.
I think have to give Ryan some props for Xavier Hutchinson not really killing us. He had a lot of catches,
guys.
I had a lot of catches, but didn't really do much else.
Didn't get a touchdown. I had a touchdown against the Big 12 team.
When Ryan says someone's a fraud, you listen.
That's right. I want to mention Gavin Holmes, Baylor receiver. He has 22 catches, 470 yards. That's a 21 yard per catch average. That's a lot. If they have a big play threat on that offense, it's that dude. So it's gonna be on Jaden Davis and those cornerbacks to lock him down, because if he gets loose, he can hurt you in a lot of ways. And I think that's how OU can lose this game, is if you let Baylor go big play for big play with you. If you got to make Baylor drive the ball, grind out points, make them earn points. Don't give them the easy stuff, 60-yard touchdowns or whatever. Let Dylan Gabriel and your offense do that. So I think that's the path for OU to lose the game if they allow guys like that to get loose.
Yeah, and you got to, like, not just Holmes you got to worry about, but they spread out their receiving pretty good. Like, I mean, you said Gavin Holmes has 22 receptions, like Presley at wide receiver has 22. Ben Sims, who is arguably their most explosive player on offense other than maybe Shapen and Richard Reese, is their tight end, and he's huge. He's a big dude. 26 receptions. Like, he's their main receiver essentially. So, like, they spread it around, and our secondary is going to have to pick up on that. And be ready for, like, you can't just cover one guy. You're probably going to have Woody on Holmes, but from there, like, who do you put with who?
Yeah. Patrick, Matt, or Mark, anything to add before we get on? I know, I'm sorry.
Who?
Yeah.
Nothing to add.
No, I mean, we're gonna run the zone defense we've been running, I think. And if Woody's back there deep or Billy Bowman's back there deep, do what you got to do. Be creative up front if we have those guys back there. I have fun with it. Go kick the crap out of Blake Shapen.
Yeah. All right, let's make some picks, boys. Patrick, we'll start with you. What do you got, man? I think I got OU as a 3.5 favorite. That's according to ESPN. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I've got OU 41-33.
OU 41-33. Okay.
Yep.
Brian?
OU 42-35, I think is what I'm going to go with.
Yeah. What you got, Mark?
I'm going to go OU 35-24.
38-31 Oklahoma. That's what I got. So all of us got OU with a win. Let us know down below in the comments, what are you looking for out of this game? Who you think is going to win the game? Offense, defensive matchups, all that stuff. Love reading all your comments, by the way. Yeah, let us know down below in the comments if you're watching on our YouTube channel.
Hey, if you think we're wrong, tell us. I like reading the ones where it's like, hey, you didn't think about Baylor, blah, 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 blah. That's good stuff. That makes us better.
It's respectful discussions are always fun to have. Yeah. They're always a good time. Mm-hmm. We always welcome that stuff. That's never a bad thing.
Just don't call me Matt.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I think we need to do a poll on whether or not I'm still going to be in a relationship after this game, because I'm concerned.
Put the poll up.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
We could put a poll up.
Yeah, we could, and only let your girlfriend vote on it.
Yeah, she's just gonna like wobble back and forth. You're gonna see a yes, and then at the end of the game, it's gonna be
no. She had to follow the account.
Yeah.
No.
All right, real quick, let's move on to some college football playoff rankings. Those came out on Tuesday night. We're not going to spend a lot of time on them, but number 1, Tennessee. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Georgia. Number 4, Clemson. 5, Michigan. 6, Alabama. That's where we're at with the top 6. We won't go into the nitty gritty. You can go look those up if you want to. But Tennessee.
OU unranked.
OU unranked. Thank you. Texas 24, I believe.
Ridiculous.
I know, just insane. So Tennessee at 1, I feel like isn't a surprise like where we're at, but I feel like it's a surprise from the beginning of the season to say, wow, Tennessee's the number 1 team in the country. Patrick, go ahead.
I mean, I'm not surprised by that whatsoever. I've been saying it since August when they preseason ranked Tennessee 24, and I said that was a joke. I said they'd go undefeated until they got to Georgia. Here we are, people. And you know what? I think they have the most explosive offense in this country, and Georgia's not going to be able to beat them. We'll get to that later. This is a great top 6. I would rank them the same.
Mark? Ryan, go ahead. Go.
No, it was Mark's turn. Okay,
doesn't have to be my turn. I would say
go.
1v3 is an awesome matchup to get at this point in the season. So shout out to the committee understanding the assignment by just making one of those 2 teams number 1, right? It's all you got to do. And this week is a huge game.
CBS thanks them.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like it's so early. It's still so early. This is going to change like radically throughout the year. We know that. But I am surprised that they have Ohio State over Georgia, because Georgia, I agree that Tennessee probably has the best win against Alabama, but Georgia completely destroyed their number 8 team in Oregon in the very first game of the season. So I am kind of surprised that they have.
If you ask Bo Nix, everyone knows that game would go differently now. So you should really take that into account.
I do not understand how Clemson is the 4th best team in the country in their eyes. How do you watch that team and think they're the 4th best team in the country? They don't know who their quarterback is. They pulled DJ Uyunglele, whatever.
Yeah.
However the hell.
Sorry, I said I was okay with this list. I'm not. Clemson needs to go to 6, and then Michigan, Alabama, then Clemson.
Yeah, I think Michigan's probably 4. I do. I think Michigan's the more complete football team than Clemson at this point.
If Alabama plays Michigan on a neutral field, you're taking Michigan. Cool.
No.
Maybe. Then it's Bama.
Okay.
Then it's Bama. Tennessee, I'm looking at it right now. I don't know if this is on our list. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the outline.
Dude, you're all good.
They are. Okay. I won't hit on it yet, but they're underdogs, and Pat, let's do it.
Yeah. Let's do it, baby.
Pat, let's do it. Oh, man. Let us know down below in the comments what you think of the college football playoff as it stands right now.
Can we say real fast just the Big 12 teams?
Yes.
And what their rankings are?
If you got it in front of you,
yeah, I've got it right here. We start with TCU at 7, right behind Bama. I think that's about right. They're ranked just above Oregon and USC. What do y'all think? I think
that's right.
It's what they've looked like.
I don't think you can put them anywhere else. They're undefeated.
No, you can't. You can't put them anywhere else right now.
Kansas State 13. I think that is heavily induced by last week's win, but
yes,
they've looked good. Sure. But they've looked good. Yeah. Oklahoma State 18, Texas 24. Texas being in there. They're still ranking them based on the team that beat us and not the team we've seen since then. That's my opinion on that.
Yeah. Yeah. You punish OU and saying how terrible they are, but you give Texas credit for beating that team the way that they did. I just don't understand, but it's okay. Whatever. Let us know down below in the comments what you think. An update on our college football pick'em page, folks. Mark is still in first, 53 and 35 in the 99.6 percentile.
Nice.
I'm in first.
You're in first by 20 points
out
over M. Morris 94. Our guy Frat Loops in third.
Frat Loops. There he is.
He's 50 and 39, 98th percentile for him. Shout out to him. Becca in fifth, Matt Gann in sixth. I'm in sixth as well. Pat, you're in ninth. And Ryan in 15th, making a total of 30 picks on the year. Gotta love it. Thank you so much for being a part of our college football pick'em page. Let's make some picks, boys. What do you say? Sound good? Oh, whoops.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Where is my groups?
Okay. I'm unruly excited about this, guys.
Good.
I got a 2-game lead.
Yeah, you do.
I did. It's been a 1-gamer for a minute now. Come at me, Matt Morris and Frat Loops.
Responsibly. If you would have bet every game that you've picked, you'd be rich.
and considering I'm not richer this season, it is a wild move for me.
It's crazy. It's nuts. All right, let's go ahead and let's make some picks. First game we're going to talk LSU Alabama. Let's get to that. LSU, a 13.5 point underdog at home. Alabama, 13.5 point favorite, obviously. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Alabama just because I don't know what to expect out of a Brian Kelly LSU team yet. I just don't know who they are. I don't feel comfortable thinking that they're good enough to not only beat Alabama, but stay within 2 touchdowns. So give me Alabama with a healthy Bryce Young. Alabama to cover. Go ahead, Mark.
Alabama.
Yeah.
Alabama.
Yeah. What do you got, Ryan?
Bama. I just even if they've they haven't hit the spread in every single game this year, but every time I pick against them, it's wrong. It's the wrong pick. So Bama.
What you got, Pat?
It was a good win for them against Ole Miss last week, but I got Bama to cover as well.
Bama to cover as well. All right, let's move on to Texas and Kansas State.
Real fast, LSU was ranked 10th in the initial rankings. I
saw that.
It's an oversight on us to not mention that before now. Seems high.
They're the highest 2-loss team.
Someone has to be, but man, Brian Kelly's paying someone.
Oh, they have Ole Miss at 11. Doesn't Ole Miss have 2 losses?
I did not
now?
realize LSU was 10th. That's a joke.
Ole Miss has 2 losses, right? I'm not dreaming that.
LSU was their first loss. Let me look.
No, they lost to who'd they lose to?
This is awesome podcasting.
Yeah, this is awesome podcasting. We're gonna
love it.
You guys let me know.
Ole Miss is 4-1. They've only lost 1 game. LSU is 6-2. They've lost 2 games.
They're 4-1 in conference. Okay, all right.
Yeah, sorry, but they're 8-1 overall. Sorry,
got it. Okay, got it.
Okay, so Texas, Kansas State at home in Bill Snyder Stadium. They're a 2.5-point underdog to Texas coming in. Give me Kansas State to cover because I don't think what they did to OSU last week is a fluke. I think they're a good team. So give me Kansas State to cover and Kansas State to win outright.
I think this is so strange that they had them favored against OSU and they're not favored against Texas and they just destroyed OSU and OSU beat Texas. I'm just like, and they're at home. I don't understand Vegas. I don't get it at all.
The transitive property is upset with us.
give me Kansas State to cover and win this game.
I think the Big 12 is just crazy right now. I think Texas is going to win.
You think? Okay.
It's really weird. Cover? Do they cover?
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, they do.
Good stuff. It's really weird. So if anyone's interested in sports betting, there's an app called Action Network that can show you kind of the flow of money as it's like gone into both sides of the bet. And all of it looks to be going towards Texas. But the line hasn't hit 3. And for that reason, I'm sticking with K-State. Vegas knows something. If this much money is on Texas and the line doesn't hit 3, nah. They like K-State's performance last week more than the bettors do. So that's your Vegas corner with Mark.
Vegas corner with Mark.
Segment.
We got to start a segment.
Yeah, you got to love it. Next game up, Clemson.
I don't want it.
Clemson against Notre Dame. Clemson on the road in South Bend, 3.5-point favorite against Notre Dame. I don't know what Notre Dame is, so I guess give me Clemson and give me Clemson to cover. It's gross and I hate it, but Clemson to cover. I think they win by a touchdown. So
what was the spread?
3.5. Clemson the favorite.
I'll take Clemson as well, but I think it could be a very good game.
It could be. I mean, and even if it is a good game and Clemson has to score late to score a touchdown, they still cover. So,
right. That's what I'm predicting. Something like that.
That's fair. Okay, Ryan.
Notre Dame just destroyed Syracuse at home, who Clemson struggled with at their home. And so I have not watched enough of both of these teams. I don't think either of them are, I know we just talked about Clemson being number 5 in the country or number 4 in the country, but I genuinely don't think they passed the eye test yet. So I am going to go with Notre Dame here with an upset.
I like it.
Mark?
Notre Dame. I think being at home is going to be a big deal for them. And if you look at Clemson's quarterback situation, you've either got shaky DJ or freshman Cade. So give me Notre Dame and that incredible atmosphere against a Clemson team that I think we all think is a little bit overrated.
Game of the week, Tennessee, 7.5-point underdog to the Georgia Bulldogs in Athens.
Insane.
Patrick, I'll start with you.
I think that line used to be -12 and has shifted. 7 is a lot of points.
7.5.
7.5 is even more points than 7, but not for this Tennessee offense. Let's get it. Tennessee covers.
Do they win?
Oh, sorry. Yes, they win. Sorry, yeah. I'm
you
saying
got Tennessee outright.
Yeah.
You got Tennessee outright. Okay.
All right, Ryan.
I'm gonna have Tennessee cover, but Georgia wins.
Okay. Mark, do you want me to go?
The thing is, like, I was ready and I was feeling really good about Tennessee, and I keep looking at it and I feel less good about Tennessee. But I'm gonna stick with them. They cover. I don't know if they win, but they cover.
I just feel like this is a prime time for Tennessee to just like let all of those fans down that they do all the time.
It could
be
like
that.
It could be like
a lot.
It could be like a 40-point game.
It could be like Georgia 56-10, right?
I'm saying it could
I could see it.
It could legit be a 20-point win for Georgia, and like it's over at half. But
it's weird the way it feels like that.
I know,
kinda.
not even. But
it's not a night game. That's my thing.
It's like Nick Saban for me. I'm not going to bet against Kirby Smart. I don't know if I can do it. So give me Georgia to win, Georgia to cover. I'm just going to take it.
Wowzers.
What'd you say?
Wowzers.
Wowzers. Let us know down below in the comments who you got in your pick and page. Let us know where you're standing if you're playing along with us. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on. Go ahead, Mark.
Oh, number one is what I'm saying.
Oh, you're number one. Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't want to say it out loud.
Yeah, you're
I know. I just did the thing.
Yeah,
Mark, there's only one. It's me.
There's only one.
There's only one. It's Mark. Some
it's
NFL trade deadline news. Okay, some NFL trade deadline news. We don't do a lot of NFL talk here. We used to, but we don't anymore. Just because I feel like we've skewed more towards.
It's OU football season,
yeah,
right?
Like
for sure.
We got to fill the time this way.
Yeah, and we try to keep the episodes for the people a little compact. So we can't do like everything. You know what I mean? Right. So, but. A busy day. It was the busiest day of an NFL trade deadline day. Is it history or like in a certain number of years? Adam Schefter tweeted it out.
I think it's ever.
Is it ever? There was 11 trades just today, and that's not even like including the big one, Christian McCaffrey last week, but some big ones today. Calvin Ridley going to the Jaguars. From the Falcons, Bradley Chubb going to the Miami Dolphins from the Denver Broncos, TJ Hawkinson going to the Vikings from the Detroit Lions, Chase Claypool going to the Bears from the Steelers, Roquan Smith was yesterday or on Monday, I believe, and he's going to the Ravens from the Chicago Bears. Any others that stuck out to you guys, and any of the ones that I just mentioned that we want to touch on? Calvin Ridley, go ahead, Mark.
I don't know, because I wasn't going to be happy about paying him in 2 years, right? I wasn't going to be stoked on that when we have other guys now, but it feels light to me unless they extend him. And for anyone who doesn't know, the way that the trade is structured, the Falcons are going to get a 2023 fifth round pick and then a 2024 fourth rounder if he's on the team, a 2024 third rounder if he hits certain incentives, and a 2024 second rounder if he's extended. That's well and good, but the Jaguars know that they have to give up a second round pick to extend the guy. So you've kind of incentivized not, I don't know, it's weird to me, and you gave up a first round talent to do it. So TBD.
Okay. Go ahead, Pat.
No, great day for NFL news. It was awesome.
Okay. I thought
I
want to I was super negative there, but the one thing I do want to hit on is it's very cool that Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith are not trying to go all in on this hokey dokey Falcons team with Marcus Mariota at quarterback. They're still they still have their eye on the ball of the future.
Yes.
Not this 500 football team. So that's all I got on that.
That's a very, very good point. Ryan, go ahead.
I like the TJ Hawkinson move to Minnesota.
You should.
I think he's a great tight end. And we just lost Irv Smith Jr. Last week, who just got put on IR for, I believe, 10 to 12 weeks. So, I mean, we gave up a second round 2023 and a third round 2024, I believe, which is a lot. But at the same time, I mean, this guy was a first round pick like 3-4 years ago. So he's 25. He's stellar. And I am so shocked that they did this as an interdivisional trade. Most of the time that does not happen. So the Lions trading to the Vikings is something you don't see often. And congratulations to TJ. He went from a 1-6 team to a 6-1 team, baby.
Yep, he sure
Welcome
did.
to Minnesota.
He sure did.
Mason, we're burying the lead. The Miami Dolphins got Bradley Chubb today. How do you feel about it?
So, for those of you who are listening to the show, maybe new to the program, I'm a diehard Miami Dolphins fan. I've been a Dolphins fan my entire life. This isn't like a Tyreek Hill got traded, I'm a Dolphins fan thing.
There's no Dolphins bandwagon, Mace. Yeah. Don't worry.
You're not Aaron Rodgers and Gann with Green Bay.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
So, I'm not joking. For literally the first time in my life, this feels like a Dolphins team who the GM and the coach and the players are saying, let's go win now. Am I saying they're going to win a Super Bowl? No, I'm not saying that. But what you want as an NFL fan is your team to be competitive and be in the race, to be good enough to get there. And there's a lot of knocks on the Dolphins right now they have a high-flying offense, but what's going to happen when they go to Buffalo when it's cold, when Kansas City when it's cold? They don't have a pass rush to get to Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Well, they do now because Bradley Chubb is a great player. He's very, very good, and I'm very excited that he's there. And Chris Grier does not care about first-round draft picks. I love it. They stockpiled all of those picks with the Laramie Tunsil trade, and all of those picks have now been used or traded away for Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and now Bradley Chubb. I would take that every time. Go ahead, Mark.
It's a little behind the scenes. Me and Mason were going to have the same MVP because I think Chris Grier has done masterful work here. What he really did was turn Laramie Tunsil, a left tackle he was about to have to pay top market value, for 2 first-round picks plus. Right. So the Dolphins got a pick that year that they used, and they got a pick that turned out to be the 3rd pick in the draft last season because Patrick's 4th favorite team, the Houston Texans, were terrible at football.
Yeah.
So then they trade that pick, the number 3 overall pick, to the 49ers because the 49ers wanted to go draft Trey Lance. The Dolphins seized on an opportunity because they decided these 3 first-round picks is way better for us than Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, whatever. And they were right. It's less important that they were right than it is that they made the right call. Yep. But it's masterful work. And now they've traded all 3 of those picks. One got him Tyreek Hill, one got him Jalen Waddle, and one got him Bradley Chubb. All decisions that, individually you go for each player you can quibble with, but they are loading up and they still have their own pick. That's awesome.
I hate this conversation so much.
It's awesome work.
So
no, just because of the Texans, not because of you guys.
So another thing I wanted to add on that is people will hear that and say, oh, the Dolphins don't have any draft picks. What are they doing? They've used their draft picks, and they're like, people will say Chris Grier can't draft well. He drafted Tua, he drafted Jalen Waddle, he drafted Jalen Phillips, who's a top 10 pass rusher in the league statistically in terms of pressure rate. Bradley Chubb is a top 10 pass rusher statistically in terms of pressure rate. I think he's 4th. Jalen Phillips is 9th. You have Emmanuel Ogbah still, who was a free agent, or they traded for him, something like that. But those are guys that he has drafted. He drafted Robert Hunt, who is looking like a Pro Bowl guard right now.
Mike
Gesicki is another draft pick who they thought they were going to trade. He uses a trade piece, and I'm really glad they didn't. He has like 5 touchdowns this year. Dolphins look really good, and I'm very, very happy. I'm in a very sensitive position right now because I can literally get murdered by this team more than I've ever been murdered by any Dolphins team ever. And it terrifies me, but I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever happens.
I'm proud of you for being vulnerable.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
One thing real fast is it's interesting that the trade comes 2 days after the Buffalo Bills lose first team All-Pro safety Jordan Poyer. Chris Grier sees something in the water and it looks kind of like blood. So
also to be known, you have no more first round draft picks next year. That basically says you're all in on Tua Tagovailoa. And for all the talk that he had to deal with about Deshaun Watson with the previous coaching staff and all of that stuff, to know now they're telling him, you're the dude. So there's no backup plan. You're the plan. So go out there and figure it out. And so far, he's done that this year. He's done nothing but prove that he's that guy right now. So it's exciting. I bet people don't give a singular damn about my Miami Dolphins breakdown or Mark's, but it's okay.
I do.
Thank you. Yes. Let us know down below if there's an NFL trade that you thought was exciting. Let us know who your favorite NFL team is. That'd be kind of fun. Anybody else? Anything to add on the NFL front?
I'm just happy for you, Mason.
Thank you so much.
And guard your heart. I'm
going to. Hey, Dolphins got the Bears this week. That could be another win. Then they have the Texans and then a bye, I believe. So going to be nice.
Good stretch here.
Yeah, good stretch.
Chase Claypool, good pickup for Justin Fields on
the
Bears.
Yeah.
And Roquan Smith from the Bears to the Ravens, who just also activated David Ajabo. That's a scary team.
I love Roquan Smith, man. I covered him when I lived in Georgia. He's from a small town called Montezuma, Georgia. Went to Macon County High School. Was a stud there. And to see him,
lunch.
Yeah, he was a stud at Georgia, obviously. Dominated OU in that Rose Bowl game. But he's an all-around good dude. Glad to see him get a shot with Baltimore for a Chicago team that is just lost right now. I don't know what they're doing, but they're rebuilding, so I'll give them credit where credit's due. Maybe that rebuild works out. I did watch the entirety of that Cowboys and Bears game, though. Justin Fields does look good. I will give him credit.
He doesn't have any weapons.
He's good.
They finally figured out, hey, he's the size of a running back.
Yeah.
Let's run him a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a solid player. I think the Bears did right with that. So we'll see. All right, let's get to our PGP MVPs of the week. Let's go ahead and start with Patrick. What do you got, man?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to our sponsor of the week, Hype Shoes. Go ahead and click that button at the top right. Hype Shoes, thanks for sponsoring us. Remember, they have OU sliders. They also have other schools like Auburn, Clemson, LSU, Florida State, Michigan State, a bunch of other Big 12 schools, A&M, all of them. So go get your Hype Shoes.
Love it. Thank you so much again to Hype Shoes, new sponsor. We'll make Matt do a new sponsor alert next week. Go ahead, Ryan. What do you got?
Yeah, so we talked about him last week, but I want to give MVP of this week again to Michael Turk because he was named Big 12 Coast Special Teams Player of the Week, which, he is, I think he's averaging 45.8 yard punt average, which leads the Big 12 sixth nationally. Just playing a really, really great year. And our special teams has looked great the past couple weeks, and we're going to need them to continue to be great. Brent Venables had a lot to say about Michael Turk this week too, about just like his attitude and the way he shows up and the way he prepares and stuff. So, I got to give it out to Michael Turk for being a stud punter.
Heck yeah. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, so I'm going to do Matt's real fast too. His is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is it says player of the week for the Western Conference with 31.7 points, 7.7 boards, 5.3. 7.7 assists, 5.3 rebounds. But I think what it really is supposed to be comeback player of the week, because I didn't know he played at all still. I mean, I'm shocked.
There it is. I was waiting for it.
I thought the tank was so on that they sent Shai home, Al Horford style, or Poku style, or Josh Giddey style. But man, that's crazy about Shai. Good for him. My MVP, I haven't thought of it until right now, is also going to be Hype Shoes, because those have been super comfy and I've really enjoyed them. So shout out to Hype Shoes. Go buy your shoes. Your slides. They're awesome. I really enjoy them.
Awesome. My PGP MVP of the week is my fiance Katie. She booked our honeymoon today. Going to Rome and Paris. 2 weeks in Europe. Going to be lit. Can't wait for it. I'm getting married March 31st. March 31st. If you want to be part of the program, come to the wedding.
Details.
Yeah.
Crazy, bro. If
you're happy about it.
If the program has ties in Europe, reach out.
Yeah, reach out.
We're gonna drop an EPC at Mason's wedding during the ceremony.
Dude. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, just like a 10-minute.
It's gonna be live streamed.
Just like a 10-minute one with me drunk or something. That'd be sick. They'd get a lot of
all the friends that aren't us they leave.
Yeah.
Just us.
Yeah.
Like, that's dumb, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, this is stupid. All right, that's going to do it for this week's show. Be sure to like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter, Program Guys with a Z, Instagram, Program Guys with a Z. We'll be back with you with a post-game pod Saturday or Sunday. Not really sure. We got to talk about it, but we'll figure it out. Have a post-game pod for you regardless this weekend. Instagram, Program Guys with a Z. Facebook page, Program Guys Podcast. However you get your podcast, that's where you can find us. Shout out Hype Shoes one more time. Really appreciate the new sponsor. And yeah, have a good week. We'll see you this weekend. Pat, take us out.
Keep pushing, baby.